Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report Chiefs post-game live stream. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, as always, and today I'm going to break down the Kansas City Chiefs' 27-17 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 10 of the NFL season. So, Chiefs Kingdom, sorry for this post-game live stream being a couple days past due. I will say that right away that I do not have very long tonight. I'm in college. We're getting towards the end of the semester, so I got a ton of projects that, quite frankly, I should be doing right now. But I wanted to talk about this game and break down what I saw. It was a very eventful game. I'll tell you what, the night started, I guess the day started off really early for me. I had to be at the stadium at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was cold. It was a cold morning, but it ended up turning into a really pretty day. I think it was like 35 degrees. The sun came out, and we saw a very interesting football game. So before I even got into the stadium, the first quarter started, and the Jacksonville Jaguars went for an onside kick. They ended up getting that onside kick, and I don't think they ended up scoring. But right away, the Jags kind of showed that they mean business, and they really tricked the Chiefs. But, this was a really weird game because the Chiefs won this game, and it was really never in question. But it was kind of sloppy. The Chiefs turned the ball over a lot. I remember that Isaiah Pacheco fumbled the ball. Jody Fortson fumbled the ball. Patrick Mahomes fumbled the ball, but he was able to land on it. Patrick Mahomes threw an interception. I mean, it wasn't a pretty game, and they didn't really take care of the football. But they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that's been on the rise with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson and that offense by 10 points. So when you look at it, it wasn't a pretty game by any means, but they got the job done. Now, something that I do want to address because it sent shockwaves through the stadium. Safety Andre Cisco, I believe this is number 5 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, hit Juju Smith-Schuster in a helmet-to-helmet collision, and it sent Juju down. I mean, he was down, and he did not move. It almost looked like that Tua injury where the arms came up in the air, like in the fencing position. It was really brutal, and it was hard to watch. He kind of just laid there lifeless on the ground. And, when other teams get down on a knee, it kind of just shows you the severity of the situation. And luckily for the Chiefs and luckily for Juju Smith-Schuster, he ended up being okay. He walked off the field with some help, and he later posted on Instagram that he was okay. But it was brutal. I mean, it was a bad hit. And then later on in the game, it wasn't even – I don't even think it was later in the quarter. It was a similar situation where Marquez Valdez-Scantling was running his route, went up, caught the ball, and the same guy ended up hitting him in the head. And that one was a blatant no call. And I think that when Juju Smith-Schuster hit the turf, the Chiefs kind of went for blood after that because the Jacksonville Jaguars, at least twice in this game, were throwing some cheap shots. Now, I don't know if it was on purpose, but Andre Cisco genuinely could have ended Juju Smith-Schuster's career with that hit. It was that brutal. But, to kind of get away from that, the Chiefs' offense wasn't great by any means. I would say they played a C-plus game. They still put up 27 points. Patrick Mahomes still scored, or he threw for 4 touchdowns and 331. He did throw an interception that you just hate to see, but he had an MVP type of game. And in fact, Josh Allen lost to the Minnesota Vikings at home. They had the lead. He fumbled the ball in the end zone. The Vikings recovered. And in overtime, the Vikings beat the Bills on the road. So as of right now, the Chiefs hold the number 1 seed in the AFC playoff picture. That is how the AFC is shaken out in the past 2 weeks because Josh Allen has been kind of hurt with that elbow injury. And they've lost back-to-back games. They lost to the Jets and they lost to the Vikings. And the Chiefs are the number 1 seed in the AFC playoff picture. And if the playoffs started tomorrow, the Chiefs would host the playoff games and the road to the Super Bowl would yet again go through Arrowhead. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself because I think that it is very possible that the Bills almost win out and the Chiefs might drop a game or two here or there. But right now, the Chiefs are looking really good as a team. The defense has been solid all year long. I think I saw something that statistically, they are a middle-of-the-pack defense. They're literally like 14th or 15th across the league. So they're an average defense, And when your offense is the best in the NFL, you're going to win games and you're going to find a way to win games most of the time. And that's why the Chiefs are standing at 7-2 with the best record in the AFC. Now, I will say, going over some of the other stats, Isaiah Pacheco had 16 carries for 82 yards. Travis Kelce had 6 receptions for 81 yards, scoring a touchdown. I want to make a stronger point with that Isaiah Pacheco stat line later. But the guy that I want to talk about right now is Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney had 2 catches for 33 yards, his longest being that 32-yard catch down the field where he just leaped up in the air, caught the ball, and was able to toe tap down inbounds for the big-time throw and catch. And he scored a touchdown in which he was just wide open in the flat, and he just hopped his way into the end zone. I think I saw a stat that that was like the farthest amount of distance that a receiver has ever had while ESPN has been tracking stats. I mean, he was wide open. He could have walked into the end zone. And something that I didn't realize in the moment is that touchdown by Kadarius Toney with the Chiefs. He's played 2 games with the Chiefs. Was his first NFL touchdown with 12 games. He played 12 games with the New York Giants, and he did not score a single touchdown. And he's been in Kansas City for 2 weeks, and he's already made an impact. And guys, I'm telling you right now, if we continue to see Kadarius Toney explode onto the scene, I think he's going to start taking Mecole Hardman snaps. He's probably overtaken Sky Moore snaps, at least for the foreseeable future. Kadarius Toney is already making an impact on this team, which is just incredible. And again, Kadarius Toney had 2 carries for 33 yards, and his longest run was 32. Going to his receiving stats, he had 4 catches for 57, and his longest catch was the 23-yard downfield connection. Jerick McKinnon, again, has been a force in the receiving game. He had 6 receptions for 56 yards. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 3 receptions for 60 yards. Travis Kelce was the leading receiver in this game, having 6 receptions for 81 yards, like I mentioned. Sky Moore had 1 reception for 6 yards. Jody Fortson had 1 reception for 6 yards. Noah Gray had 2 catches for 20 yards, and he scored a touchdown. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to bring his name up, had no catches for no yards. And running the ball, Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not receive a carry. The reason that I bring that up is because we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs give up on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They have shown in the decisions that they have made the past couple weeks that they do not trust him, that they do not believe that he has lived up in any way whatsoever to that first-round draft pick spot, and he's been benched. Isaiah Pacheco is now the number 1 running back in Kansas City. A lot of Chiefs fans expected this. A lot of Chiefs fans have given up on Clyde a long time ago. I just find it crazy that, this guy was drafted higher than any running back in his draft class, and less than 3 years in the future, he's already benched. Now, I don't think that we're not going to see him for the rest of the season. I think he's going to make an appearance sometime. But the fact that in this kind of game, he didn't get a single touch running the ball, I think that kind of shows you everything you need to know, and that the Chiefs have given up. They do not believe that he is the guy. And going forward, it's going to be the Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon show. And I'm okay with that because I think that Jerick McKinnon, honestly, might be the team's best back when it comes to running and catching the ball. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire just did not cut it. And, we'll talk about this probably later down the line. But the Chiefs made a tough decision in benching him, but they made the right decision because you cannot keep carrying this guy out there when he's only hurt this team. And he had some good games earlier this year, but recently all he's done is hurt this team. So switching over to the defense, I want to give a props to the Chiefs defensive line. The Chiefs defensive line, I believe, had 5 sacks against Justin Herbert. Had 5 sacks against Trevor Lawrence. That's more pressure than we're used to seeing. Chris Jones had 1.5 sacks. Willie Gay had a sack. Colin Saunders had a sack. Leo Chenal had a sack. I didn't even know that. Let's see who else had a sack. And then I believe that's it. But guys, we don't talk enough about how valuable Chris Jones is. Chris Jones only got listed with 1.5 sacks. That guy had 5 very impactful, game-changing defensive snaps for this team. And he has brought that every single game. And that's just, it's so impressive to have a guy on that side of the ball being so productive. The secondary looked pretty good. There was a couple times where, Trevor Lawrence was able to find Zay Jones, or he was able to find, who's the wide receiver that they paid a lot of money this offseason? Christian Kirk. He had 9 receptions for 105. But I think that overall, the Chiefs defense was able to stand firm. They bended, but they didn't break. And that's really all that matters when you have that Chiefs offense. Can your defense do the job? Trent McDuffie looked really good in this game. L'Jarius Sneed looked good. It's just kind of once you get down to some of the other corners that they're still learning and they're still trying to improve. But I think this defense is rock solid. I think that, they're only going to get better. But if you went into the playoffs with the 14th or 15th best defense, with this offense, you're still going to have a chance to go all the way. I'm not worried whatsoever. And I think that the Chiefs are going to have a really good chance at hosting the AFC playoffs at home. Like, I'm looking at it right now. The Chiefs are the number 1 seed if it ended today. But more importantly, I'm looking at the AFC West. And right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are 7-2. The Los Angeles Chargers are 5-4. They ended up losing a pivotal game against the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. The Denver Broncos are 3-6. And the Las Vegas Raiders are 2-7. If you guys remember, all offseason long, I kept saying the AFC West isn't going to be as good as everybody says it was going to be. And I think that it's because a lot of people thought it was going to be by far and away the best division in football. But you have a couple stinkers like the Broncos and the Raiders that in this division, they're just straight trash. They're absolutely garbage. The Broncos are 3-6, mostly because their strength of schedule has been piss poor. And the Raiders are 2-7, and they are just struggling. Like right now, it's a 2-team race. And if the Chiefs can beat the Chargers next week on Sunday Night Football, this division's basically over. The Chiefs have wrapped it up if they can win this Sunday. And that is something that nobody, none of the media, none of the fans and the other teams in the AFC thought the Chiefs were going to be able to have this kind of success without Tyreek Hill. And look what the Chiefs are doing without one of the best, probably the best wide receiver in football. It doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes is on pace to win the MVP. He's on pace to win his division. He's on pace to win the number 1 seed. And this is all without one of the best, most dynamic wide receivers the NFL has ever seen. What does that say about Patrick LeVon Mahomes? What does that say? It says that he is by far and away the best quarterback in football, and it's not particularly close. When they're going to evaluate the MVP this year, because right now, it's kind of Patrick Mahomes and Tua Tagovailoa and Josh Allen. I think it's going to come down to Patrick and Tua. And Patrick Mahomes does not have the weapons that Tua does. Tua has Tyreek Hill. Tua has Jalen Waddle. Tua has Mike Gesicki. Patrick Mahomes is doing this all with Travis Kelce, who, granted, Travis Kelce's that dude. But he's doing this all with Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Kadarius Toney, guys that people did not want. And he is turning them into bona fide weapons on this team. He's distributing the ball. He's on pace to throw for like 5,000 some odd yards and 49 touchdowns. If he keeps this up, he's going to win his second most valuable player award. And right now, he's in the driver's seat to do so. Throwing 4 touchdowns in this game really kind of put him in the driver's seat. Granted, there's a lot of games to go. There's basically half the season to go. But I'm telling you right now that Patrick Mahomes is going to continue putting up these numbers because something about losing Tyreek Hill made this offense more dynamic, made this offense more meticulous, made this offense more patient, and that's why we haven't seen much of a struggle. Sure, there's been games here and there when the offense could have been better, but even last year with Tyreek Hill, this offense would sputter. And so far this season, without Tyreek Hill, we haven't seen a significant drop off. If anything, they've gotten better. That is absurd. And if that is something that you're going to look at, if that's something that the MVP voters are going to look at, Patrick Mahomes should win that award just based on that fact, based on the media narrative in the offseason, based on everything going up against him. And he comes out and just like an absolute baller, throws for 49 touchdowns and 5,000 yards and wins an MVP. What does that tell you about Patrick Mahomes? That's just crazy. But getting back to this game, there's a couple things that I would say the Chiefs have to do better. You can't turn the ball over. It's not something that I'm necessarily worried about. Last season, it was particularly bad. They had a bunch of turnovers. Patrick Mahomes had a bunch of picks. In this game, the Jacksonville Jaguars just kind of made the Chiefs uneasy. They short kicked it a lot. They squibbed it. And I think that kind of caught the Chiefs off guard. That led to one of the fumbles. And, I don't expect the Chiefs to continue with these fumble problems. And so I think if you can correct the fumble problems, not turn the ball over, you're not going to give the Jacksonville Jaguars points. It's just not going to happen. And moving forward, your strength of schedule is still difficult. It's one of the most difficult in the NFL. But you kind of went through the gauntlet already. You went through the tough teams. Granted, there's still a couple good ones on the schedule, but you made it through like the Buffalo Bills and some of those teams that you just look at and went, oh my goodness. And it's just because I think that most of the NFL right now isn't playing at a level like the Chiefs are. Like the Bucks, not very good. They won in Germany, but congrats, you beat Geno Smith. Like a lot of the teams in the NFC have not been good this season. The Chiefs play the Rams later on. Not worried about that game whatsoever because the Rams haven't been good this year. Like the Chiefs, as long as they continue playing the brand of football that we know they can, they're going to win most of the rest of the games. Like I'm not really worried about that. And, I'm looking at it right now. The Chiefs did a really good job of stopping the run in this Jacksonville game. Travis Etienne only had 45 yards coming off of 11 carries. Trevor Lawrence did have 4 rushing attempts for 26. I did think that they should have left a spy on him more often, but I'm not really going to complain about it because this game was just, it was never really much of a game because the Chiefs went into the half up, 20-7. Like it was just a game that I knew the Chiefs were going to win. They might not have won by the biggest margin. 10 points at home, I'm not going to complain. And it's just all about winning and surviving. And that's what the Chiefs did in this game. So I think that, the more pivotal point to take from this recap video is more about what the AFC landscape looks like. Because the Chiefs have kind of been in control of their own destiny for a while now. But right now they truly are. You are the first seed in the AFC playoff picture. You're first in your division. Patrick Mahomes has a chance to win the MVP award. As long as you keep it up, you're going to accomplish all of those things. And so I think that, this game was important because a win in the NFL is a win. You need to get these wins. You need to beat opponents that you should beat. We saw the Chiefs drop a game to an opponent like the Colts that they should have beaten, but nothing's a guarantee. And the fact that the Chiefs are able to come out, handle business while still playing a sloppy football game, like playing a C-plus game, it's something that I will take 9 out of 10 times. I guess 10 out of 10 times. But guys, that's all I have for you for this Chiefs post-game live stream. Unfortunately, I have to go back and do some more homework. So if you like this video, go ahead and like it and subscribe for future Chiefs content. I'm going to get more stuff out over the winter and over winter break. The Chiefs were able to handle this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they won by a final score of 27-17. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.